When I woke up, my throat hurt. I tried to cover my mouth with my hands, but something was keeping them from moving. I opened my eyes and saw that I was sitting in some kind of chair with my head facing downward. I slowly raised my head. My hands were tied to the armrest with zip ties. When I tried to break out, the ties dug into my skin and hurt very badly. I tried looking around. It was a room I'd never seen before. There were machines that looked like they belonged in the operating room of a hospital. But the wall was also lined with monitors, like some kind of guard room or control room. I couldn't see any windows, so I had no idea where I was. Someone. My throat hurt when I tried to talk, and then I remembered that Maho had almost killed me. Why'd she done that? I felt more confused than angry.
Yeah, Rintaro. Mega sameta kai?
Hello, Lintalo. You're awake? I heard the footsteps and saw a wavering shadow beneath the dim fluorescent lights in front of me. I knew that voice.
Leskinen.
Dr. Leskinen?
気分はどうかな?
How do you feel? If you're thirsty, I can get you some water. When I looked again, I saw that he wasn't alone. There were several men behind him in black suits. They were looking at me without saying a word. All of them were holding guns. They looked like MIBs and reminded me of the foreigners I'd almost ran into at Daru's shop 6 months ago. Or was it the same group? What's going on here? There are a lot of things I wanted to ask, but more than anything, I wanted to know why Dr. Leskinen wasn't helping me. Of course, the first thing that came to mind was the obvious answer. It was Dr. Leskinen who had put me here, and Mao had captured me under his orders. But I didn't want to think about that. Where are we? So all I could do was ask a stupid question like that. I was right. You truly are a treasure trove of information. Right now, you're as valuable as the President of the United States. He didn't answer me, but he showed me a self-satisfied smile. I could feel alarm bells going off in my head. I was getting more suspicious of Dr. Leskinen. Gee, you don't fucking say! Am I imprisoned here? It would be more accurate to say that you're under our protection. Once your value becomes clear, there'll be a lot of people coming after you. Did you order this, Dr. Leskinen? That's right. I made the decision. After hearing all about your information from Maho. Where is Hyejo? Resting in her hotel room, I'd imagine. Did Hyejo become my friend in order to extract information from me? That wasn't her original intent. In the end, that's how it ended up, though. And you too? Were you nice to me because you were after something? Just who are you? Now, please calm down. I've told you before, haven't I? A scientist must remain calm at all times. Excitement is only allowed when the experiment is a success. Please don't tell me you're about to go digging through my head to dig up my memories of how I made a time machine. Instead of feeling calm, Dr. Lestinen's attitude was pissing me off. I felt betrayed. There was rage, frustration, sorrow, and a lot of other feelings mixed together as I gritted my teeth. Dr. Leskinen ignored me and gave the brief order in English to the other men. They left the room. Only Dr. Leskinen and I remained. Now then, Lintalo, I better tell you about my other job. Your other job? It was then that I remembered the other word line I'd been sent to. Shinayama had told me that an American organization had demanded that I be turned over. You with the CIA? The NSC? But Dr. Leskinen only chuckled. Don't compare me to those idiots. They're just a bunch of useless government employees. Are you aware of the American civilian intelligence company called Strategic Focus? Are they legit? I'm gonna Google that later. Oh my god, I'm so glad it's in English though. Strategic Focus? I'd heard of them before on a conspiracy theory site that the old me used to read all the time. That'd be why! It's a conspiracy. You're part of the company of 300 that rules the world from the shadows or some shit like that. Stratfor? I remembered reading that they'd acquired top secret information on Russian ballistic missiles that even the CIA couldn't get and sold it. The result was the destruction of the CIA's reputation. And at the same time, the total reorganization of Russia's military strategy. I'd even heard rumors that during the Gulf and Iraq wars, they'd obtained information about the warring countries faster than anyone and spread it as needed. The world's government supposedly called them the Shadow CIA. You work for Stratfor? But I thought you were the chief researcher at the Brain Science Institute. That's my real job, of course. By the way, I often run into people who tell me the exact same things. They tell me that humans are just monkeys that murder each other. The human brain and the development of the neocortex are what's giving rise to crazy religions and crazy ambitions. And that's why there are wars. But every time I hear that, I think to myself, that's stupid. It's nonsense. Who can believe something so silly? So why do humans fight all these useless wars then? Do you know, Lintalo? It's because of information. All human beings are part of a certain community. A certain colony, if you will. Each individual thinks he's acting on his own, but in fact all our brains are connected by the information distributed by a community. And thus, we are forced to live as members of a herd, whether we like it or not. Let me give you an example. Well, as examples go, it's not the best, but... The worst massacre in history, which was carried out by a certain European country, did not take place during the Dark Ages at the witch trials. It was halfway through the 20th century, in a time where the atomic bomb already existed. Yeah, I know what he's referring to. And the country that carried it out was one of the most civilized on Earth. Also one of the most technologically advanced. You know, barring the fact that America had discovered nukes. Not Japan. Germany had fucking great rocketry. Rocketry information. That's why, after the war was done, both Germany... I keep saying Germany. Both America and Russia are racing each other, basically, to scoop up the remaining German scientists. We'll leave the question of the leader's sanity to the historians, but... What about the people who are actually on the ground doing the killing? Were they simply murderous monkeys? No,
彼らは
they were
ごく
people,
ありふれた
just like any others you might find.
脳科学的に見て
Speaking as a brain scientist, I'm certain that if I were to examine one of the brains, I'd find nothing wrong with them at all.
ところが
But once they receive the wrong information,
最悪の情報が途端に彼らの
their brains became capable of murder without
虐
remorse.
殺を行う軍隊と化してしまう
最悪の情
The
報
wrong information?
これは我々の
This is our
使命
job.
なのだ
We are in the
我々は
right,
正しいのだ
and anyone who does not obey is
使
evil.
命に従わない者は悪なそういう情報
That
さ
information.
何が言いたいんですか
What are you trying to say?
人間の脳という
There needs to be someone who can control the information given to these fragile things we call
きちんと制御でき
brains.
るものが管理しなくてはならないということだよ。それが strategic
And that is the ultimate goal of
focus の
strategic focus. Oh, Stratfor is just short for strategic focus, I guess.
私はそれに共感して
As I am in complete agreement with that goal, I work as an agent for them in addition to being a brain scientist.
分かってくれたかな
Do you understand?
わかりません
I don't.
そんなの
It's just the kind of monologue a villain gives in the movies.
結局あなたは
In the end, all you're doing is selling information for money.
してるだけじゃないですか俺が情報の
You're saying I'm a treasure trove of information, right?
タイムマシンの情報
Who are you gonna sell information on the time machine to?
つもりですアメリカ
America? China? Or the war zones in Africa and the Middle East?
そのすべてだよ。
All of them. Ah, that's a terrible, terrible note I've just heard. Leskanin shrugged his shoulders and quietly laughed.
核兵器と同じさ。
Just like nuclear
抑止
weapons,
力として
each nation needs them to act as a restraint against the others.
タイムマシンは核兵器なんか
Time machines aren't like nuclear weapons.
それが使われた
No one realizes that if they've been used. The whole world might change even if without the whole world might change without even the person who's used it knowing.
抑止力になんか
There's no way to restrain their use.
どの国も
The world will just keep changing and changing, no matter which country altered the world line or how.
世に改変をつ
その通り。
And that's right.
タイムマシンは
A time machine is far more delicate than just a nuclear weapon.
だからこそ
That's why we need your power.
君たちの脳
All of it, all of you people, should I say.
君は確か Reading Steiner
You called it reading Steiner, as I recall.
どうやら新型脳炎
It seems you have the
と
same
同じ
symptoms as the new encephalitis. That's right. Leskanin was researching the new encephalitis case, too.
我々は新型脳
We
炎
researched to the
患者が
point
過去
where we
改変を
realized that the
感知で
patients
き
may
る
be
のかもし
capable
れ
of
ないという
detecting changes
こと
to
は
the,
突き止めていてね
to the past.
ずっとその確証を
But we wanted
求め
proof.
ていたんだ世界中の諜報機関も同じ
So does every intelligence agency in the world. They're desperately searching. I hated myself for not realizing the possibility sooner. I'd always had the wrong idea. I thought the reason the new encephalitis patients were being brought together was just to give them meaningless treatment. But I was naive. Too naive. Leskanin and Stratfor's goal was to gather people with reading Steiner and study them.
さっき真帆から君
Maho just told me about your amazing abilities.
詳細に聞かせてもらったよ本来君からは
I had originally hoped to get information about Kurasu's successes.
それでいいと思っていたが新型脳炎の情
But
報
instead, we got information on the new encephalitis.
君は
You are wonderful.
ここでも
This puts us a step ahead of the rest of the world.
先にというか
And why didn't you tell me about this sooner?
私にその能力のことを話してくれなかったんだいそうすれば君の
If you had, I wouldn't have had to do so many things to your friend Katsumi's brain.
そこまでいろいろといじくらないで済んだのに
Whoa! Katsumi. Katsumi Nakase. Did he mean Fubuki? And I wouldn't have to use the procedure on Maho's brain either.
ヒアジョさんまで
Even here, Joe! Is that why she was acting so weird?
あなたの助手だろ
She's your assistant, right?
あなたを
She respected you!
慕ってい
She looked up to you!
そんなちん
How can you use her in a human experiment?
よくも
It was necessary to acquire information that will benefit all of humanity. And there's no need to panic. Both Maho and Katsumi will survive with only minor impairments to their brain functionality. You're insane!
狂ってる
For the first time I felt hatred for, and fear of, the man in front of me. I couldn't believe this was the same man I'd respected so much. If we investigate the brains of patients who've contracted a reading Steiner, I'm sure we'll learn more. If we can sell that in a set along with time machines, we can maintain the military balance of power across the world. We can avoid war. That's not how this works. That's not how this works. We're on the wrong timeline to avoid war. I want your cooperation, too. Leskinin's mannerisms hadn't changed a bit, even as he spoke of these horrifying things. He spoke of the insane things in the same manner that Maho once described as a mischievous child's.
俺のことを
You tricked me, didn't you?
俺に近づいた
You
のは
approached me just because I was friends with Kurisu!
親しかったからだ
You tried to get information about Kurisu from me!
俺から引き出そう
I don't think I've ever tricked you. It was a coincidence that we first met. It was true that the major reason I asked you to test Amadeus was your relationship with Kurisu. But it's also true that as I got to know you, I really did take an interest in you. I still wish you could be my assistant. But that's a separate matter. Remember what I said? You're as valuable as the President of the United States himself right now. I need to prioritize the company's work over my private feelings. For the sake of humanity's future peace. I'm sorry, Lintalo. But at the same time, I'm excited. I can't wait to see all the information you possess. Go to hell. I'm going to take a copy of your memory data. Your memories are going to be used in the Amadeus system. Interesting idea, right? That way, even if you do die in an unfortunate accident, your memories will remain. Oh, don't worry. I'm not interested in killing you. Humans have far weaker security than Amadeus. Once they taste pain, they'll gladly share information to escape it. Their security, when it comes to keeping secrets, is practically non-existent. Torture doesn't work on Amadeus, which means it'll be far more difficult to deal with it than you. The only reason I'm taking the memory data is to have a backup. Even if, for example, you were unable to endure the torture and went insane, in the near future we'll be able to download your memories back into your brain. You attended my lecture, so you know this, right? We'll start by getting the memory data. And then you're going to tell me all kinds of things. We're going to be busy. Now, relax. Otherwise, I can't extract the data correctly.
取得できないからね。
Leskinen. You!
そんな顔をしても
Don't make that face.
にはかな
No one's coming to help you.
ここは我々ストラッフォ
This
ー
place is
が
under Stratfor's
管理する
control.
場所だからね。我々以外には
No one knows about it but us.
誰もだ。
No one. I was too stunned to think. There was nowhere to run. My knees shook in terror as I imagined what was about to happen to me. Maybe it would have been better to die. And then I felt sick as I remembered that I was fated not to die until 2025. If no amount of torture could kill me, this was literally hell. Her head hurt. Maho knelt down, closed her eyes, and bit her lip to shut out the pain. There was an annoying noise in her head that wouldn't go away. It made the headache worse. No matter how much she covered her ears, she couldn't block it out. She wanted to scream from the pain, but she held it in because she thought it would only make her headache worse. She could hear her voice mixed in with the noise. It was Dr. Leskinen's. Listen, Maho. You need to observe. You need to find out Okabe Lintalo's secret, no matter what it takes. If you can't, I'll have to kill him. You don't want that, right? You seemed to really like Lintalo, didn't you? Me and Kurisu kept bringing it up after all. Even if you weren't interested in him originally, you couldn't help but think about him. That's the way the human mind works. And to save him, I want you to find out what he knows. If you do that, I'm willing to bring him to my lab, unconditionally. Maho, tell me everything you learned from him. You could say his future's in your hands. The voice and the noise were extremely unpleasant. She couldn't really understand what the voice was saying. She could hear him speaking, but her brain refused to understand the meaning of the words. But it didn't matter either way. Mao had done something terrible to Okabe Rintaro. She'd sold him out to Dr. Leskinen in Stratfor. And the fact that she knew it just made her guilt worse. She wanted to disappear from the world altogether.
Maho-san?
Maho? She was on a busy street in Akihabara in early summer. She was leaning on the side of a building in the shade when she heard someone call her name. I knew it! I knew it was you, Maho! Oh, thank God. My savior's arrived, hopefully. I need you to take her back to the lab so she can build a time machine with Daru and actually fix this shit.
Mayuri-san.
Mayuri? She didn't expect to see Mayuri here, so she didn't know how to respond. She just looked back and stared. Are you not feeling well? I'm fine. Have you seen Okarin? Huh? Maho went completely still. Mayuri's innocent question reminded her of her own stupidity and cowardice. Why? Her voice was shaking. I haven't been able to get a hold of Okarin since yesterday. He hasn't gone home. He hasn't picked up the phone and he's not answering text messages or Ryan.
心
Sarah
配し
says
す
I'm
ぎ
worrying
だ
too
っ
much,
て
but
言うんだけど
something doesn't feel right.
だから今
So
日
I
は
left
学
school
校を
early
早
today.
退し
Now I'm
て
searching around
こ
here.
の辺りをずっと探してました
It was still only July, but it was pretty hot. She'd been wandering around all of Aki Harbor in this heat. Mayuri Shina was a kind, pure-hearted girl. That was the impression that Maho had. She would never betray someone or get jealous or let someone use her.
知りたい
Do you want to know? Huh? Mayuri leaned forward.
真帆さんオカリンの
Maho?
何
Do
か
you know where Okurin is?
もし知ってるなら
If you know, please tell me.
お願いします
Please. She bowed deeply.
そうか
I see. And then she realized. And then she wished she hadn't. Mayuri was in love with Okabe Rintaro. A dull pain ran down her temples. You seemed to really like Lintalo, didn't you? She could hear the noise in her head. Just tell Mayuri everything. And then have this innocent girl tell you how horrible you are. Maybe you'll feel better then. The idea raced through Maho's mind, even as she knew it was wrong. She tried to hold back her headache as she opened her mouth.
ゆうべ深夜
I was with Okabe late
岡部
last
さんと
night.
一緒だったのそうなんです
Were you? So, where is he now?
オカリンは今どこに
Maho ignored her question.
岡部さんは昨日
This is what he told me
私
last
にこん
night.
な話をしてくれたわ
No.
彼が経験してきた別の世界において
He told me what
Shina
he told me about another world that he'd experienced.
あなたは
But you, Shina Mayuri, had died
何度も
again
死んだん
and
ですって
again. Don't tell her.
何度やっても助けられず
No matter what he did, he couldn't save you.
あなたは死に続けた
You can't tell her this.
その悪夢のようなループから抜
To
け出す
escape
た
the
めに
nightmarish loop.
あなたを
To save you.
救うために
It was like another person was speaking using Maho's mouth.
岡部さんは
Okabe sacrificed
クリス
Kurisu.
のことを犠牲にしたんだって
He let her die.
そんな話を
That's what he
し
told
てくれ
me.
たタイムマシンを作り
If he makes a time machine and tries to save Kurisu again, he'll go back to all of that.
またあの頃に逆戻りしてしまう
You're hurting her. But the words didn't stop.
岡部さんは
Okabe's
その
so
ことをひどく
afraid of
忘れ
that.
てあなたを
He's doing everything he can to protect
必
you.
死で守ろうとしているここは
This is the world he chose, after sacrificing many things to protect you.
他の多くのものを犠牲にして選択された世界なのよあなたは
I'm sure he didn't tell you that.
何も知らされ
I'm
てい
sure
な
he
い
didn't
だろ
tell
うけ
you
ど
any of that, though.
嘘
That's not true.
そんな
No.
オカリン
Okarin. Mayuri was too shocked to speak. She looked like she was about to cry at any instant. Suddenly, Mayuri turned around and started to walk away with slumped shoulders. Even from behind, Maho could tell she was having trouble walking straight. The truth was so cruel that confronting it threatened her very identity. That's how it seemed to Maho. Maho was still in a trance. It felt like there was a fog covering everything she saw. It was all out of focus, like a mirage. If someone had told her it was a dream, she would easily believe it. The same was true of her own mind. She knew she should feel worse about what she just told Mayuri, but when she realized she'd hurt her, she felt no emotion. That was probably why she was able to say something so awful. And then the phone in her pocket began to vibrate. She looked away to saw it was from Amadeus, from Kurisu. She smelled a small, thin needle prick her paralyzed heart. She couldn't answer it. How could she? She stared at the LCD screen, unable to move her fingers even a centimeter. How could I answer it? She couldn't let Kurisu see her like this. But even so, it felt wrong just to stay here. Maho decided to go after Mayuri. By the time she made it to the overpass, Mayuri was already gone. Since she was right there, since she was right in front of the station, there was many people around, and it would have been impossible to find her. Why did you come up to me? If you hadn't talked to me, you wouldn't have to have suffered. I'm not who I used to be. She looked down over the station from the overpass and whispered to herself. And then she saw someone in a distinctive outfit approaching her. It's not who I thought it would be. This is bad news, though. They were wearing a black motorcycle suit and a black full-face helmet despite the heat. She thought it might have been a cosplayer, but instead of trying to take pictures, the nearby people were just avoiding them. Given a closer look, the person appeared to be a woman. Even Maho could tell since she had incredible proportions. The woman walked up under the overpass and vanished from Maho's view. And then she came up the stairs. And she came right toward Maho. Maho quickly looked away, like the other pedestrians, and tried to run away. But before she could, the woman in the motorcycle suit ran over and wordlessly grabbed her hand. There was a pain in her cheek. She was caught off guard and staggered to the ground. At first she didn't know what had happened. She rubbed her aching cheek, and only then did she realize that the woman in the motorcycle suit had slapped her. You hurt Mommy, didn't you? She could hear a muffled female voice from within the helmet. I'll kill you. Her voice was very calm, which only terrified Maho more. The professor told me about you, but it doesn't matter. Who are you? Because she was wearing a helmet, Maho couldn't read her facial expression. Since the visor was lowered, she couldn't even see her eyes. There was no answer to her question. Instead, the woman looked up to the sky as if she'd noticed something. Maho looked up too. For a moment, it seemed as if a black shadow crossed the windows of the building. She could hear a helicopter. It was close. How long had it been there? She hadn't noticed at all. And then she felt the air around her change. Pedestrians were all looking toward the station in fear and shock. She could hear people say things like, "What's that? Are they filming a TV show? Some kind of cosplay event?" Something was going on at the station. Maho stood up and looked, too. What is that? She found herself whispering the same thing as the others. There were two trucks painted a deep military green parked outside the station. Men were coming out of them, dressed in camo and carrying weapons. At first she thought it might have been a self-defense force, but the men weren't Japanese. It was hard to believe what she was seeing take place in Japan. The men in camo disappeared into the alleyways as everyone watched from a safe distance. They were headed toward the radio building. Maho had heard from Rintaro yesterday that the time machine was there. Is that Stratfor? Is that Stratfor? Or Russia? Or perhaps another country's military? Were they here because Maho told Leskinen what she'd learned from Rintaro? As soon as the thought crossed her mind, she was hit with a terrible headache. It was all her fault. Everything was her fault. Until a moment ago, everything seemed so hazy. But now she felt crushed by overwhelming guilt. If Okabe was right, the Third World War was going to begin here in Akihabara, because it would be because she gave the information she shared with her to Stratfor. She suddenly realized the girl who'd threatened to kill her had run down the stairs towards the station. Maho never did figure out who she was. And then her phone started to vibrate again. It was from Kurisu. She wanted to get away from the guilt. So this time she picked up the phone. Senpai! Maho! Kurisu. Are you okay? What do you mean? What happened to you? Nothing. But you're crying. Only then did she realize her eyes were overflowing with tears. The fog over her mind was now totally gone, and all that was left was the guilt, the regret, and the headaches. My head hurts. You could say his future is in your hands. She heard the noise again. Where's Okabe? What happened to him? Who cares about Okabe? You tried to kill him! I saw it! Leave me alone! I can't do that. Just leave me alone! I couldn't beat you. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't be better than you! You know, Kurisu, I respect you. You're younger than me, and I think that you're an incredible scientist. But at the bottom of my heart, this is what I used to think. Why did you have to show up? Why didn't you come 10 years before? Why didn't you come 10 years later? If it weren't for you, I would have had a more peaceful life. Then these awful feelings wouldn't have taken control of me. Everything I thought I knew, you destroyed. And even though you're dead, you're still with me. I just want to be sorry that you're gone, but I can't. You're still this wall I can't overcome. My pride and stubbornness are getting in the way. And the man that I trusted the most took advantage of that to betray me. And I betrayed a friend who trusted me. I can't even think straight anymore. So leave me alone. Maho. She was getting far too emotional. Normally she'd never behave like this, but she couldn't stop herself. She heard an explosion in the distance. The people around her started to scream, panic, and run. The flames from the explosion were coming from the direction the men in camo had gone. Did they do it? The helicopter sounds were getting louder. Glimpses of their dark, agile bodies flashed in and out of Maho's vision for a little while now. And then she started to hear loud gunfire. It was more than one or two people shooting. There was a battle going on between many people, taking place here in front of Akihabara Station. It was just like the beginning of a war. If what Rintaro had said was true, Amane Suzuha might be near the time machine, and she could be caught up in the battle. She wondered about the woman in the motorcycle suit, too. She started to stagger forward. She still didn't know what she was planning, but she needed to take responsibility for what she'd done. The elevators in the radio building were broken. Maho had no choice but to take the stairs to the roof. But maybe the power had been cut because the lights were off on every floor. She could hear sporadic sounds of gunfire from the floors above. Strangely, nobody came running past her to escape. There were several shops in the building, of course, and there should have been customers there. But despite the fact the elevators weren't working, had they all evacuated earlier? Or were they all hiding somewhere and waiting for the terror to end? That was what she thought as she thought about as she sweated her way up the stairs. Just before she reached the roof, she saw someone for the first time. She was sitting on the stairs, cradling her knees. For some reason, her voice was muffled, but it did seem to be a woman's voice. Her head seemed big and round in the darkness. It was a moment before she realized that it was a full-face helmet. That was when she realized it was the woman in the motorcycle suit from before. Where are you, Mommy? She seemed like a totally different person than the woman she'd met before. All she did was sob and cry for her mother. Hey. What's going on? Mama? Where are you? Mama? Tell me! She shouted louder. Only then did the woman realize she was there. But she didn't even stand up. Mommy's gone. The time machine was destroyed. The time machine was destroyed? Who's your mama? Is it Amane Suzuha? No. It's Mommy Mayuri, of course. Maho's blood ran cold when she heard the name Mayuri. Mayuri's here? If that was true, then she would have come here after she learned the truth from Maho. It's my fault. Maho put her hands to her head. If I hadn't said that, Mayuri would have. The woman in the motorcycle suit stood up and approached her menacingly. That's right. You got the information out of Okabe Rintaro. And that's what began all of this. Give me back my mommy! The girl grabbed The girl grabbed her by the collar and lifted her off the ground. There wasn't anything she could say. When she didn't answer, the woman let go and fell to the ground, crying. Things would be so much easier if she just killed me here. Her mind was in such chaos that she couldn't stop herself from thinking it. She couldn't stay calm at all. And the last thing she clung to was...
Chris.
Kurisu.
Senpai.
Maho. The AI made from Makase Kurisu's memory data. Maybe she was still thinking about the last discussion because she seemed upset. She wasn't saying anything. So Maho gave up the last of her pride.
Chris.
Kurisu,
どうしたらいい?
what do I do?
いろいろなことが起こりすぎて、
Too much has happened.
私一人じゃ
There's nothing I can do on my own
ど
anymore.
うにもできない。自分のしてしまったことなんだから、
At least
せめて責任を。
I want to take responsibility for what I've done. And then she realized she was still being proud and corrected herself.
私は
She asked herself, what do I want to do?
私は
I want to save
岡部さんを
Okabe.
助けたい。
I want to save Mayuri.
まゆりさん
I
も。
want to apologize to both of them so they'll forgive me.
それと
And Kurisu,
あなたのことも助
I
け
want
た
to
いの。
save you too.
だから
So
力を
help
貸して。
me. Please.
先輩が
You're asking me for help?
求めるなんて。
Kurisu's eyes were wide. That's right. Her pride had kept her from asking Kurisu for help before. And it was the same with Kurisu too. Knowing Kurisu's personality, if Maho asked for help, she used every bit of her brain power she had to give it.
ねえ、
Come
教え
on,
てちょうだい。
tell me.
あなたなら
You can give me some solution,
解
right?
決策を提示できるでしょう。
That's why they say Makase Kurisu was a genius. She was a woman who made the impossible possible. Maho waited for Kurisu's answer. The last hope. The last thing left in Pandora's box. She waited for Kurisu to give her the answer. But
無理ですよ。
it's impossible. Maho was struck dumb for a moment. Then she realized how selfish she was being and hated herself for it. She had expected too much of Kurisu and tried to put all the burden on her. And just a few moments ago, she was the one who had rejected Kurisu.
そうよね。
Yeah. You're right.
その答えは当然だわ。
Of course that's what you'd say.
ごめん、
I'm sorry.
ごめんね、クリス。
I'm sorry, Kurisu.
私、
That was
あ
so
なたにひど
horrible
いこ
to
とを
you.
言ったのに、あなたが無条件
And
で
that
協
I
力してく
stupidly
れると
thought that you'd help me
勝手に思い込んで
unconditionally.
無条件には協力します。
I'll help you unconditionally. What?
今、なんて。
What did you just say?
先輩に頼まれたら、
I can't turn down a request for help from you.
岡部や椎名
And I want to save Okabe and Mayuri Shina
同
too.
じ気持ちです。でも、
But
じゃあ、
and
気持ちとしては協力したい
I'd
で
love
す。
to help, but
残念ながら、
unfortunately my help would just make things
先
worse.
輩が私は
I've been constantly monitored by
ストラ
Stratfor.
トフォーにモニタリングされてるんです。常に。
Constantly. Whenever I'm talking to someone like this, all the information is being transferred to Stratfor.
ストラトフォーに無条件で情報が送信されてしまう。アマデウスのアプリには
There's a hidden function in the Amadeus app that does that. Even Maho hadn't known that existed.
だから先輩が岡部を助け
So,
に行こう
if you try to help if you try to help Okabe, Dr. Leskinen will know all about it.
じゃあ
But
どうすれば
then what do I do?
でも逆に
But if you're willing to take advantage of that, there is something we can do.
先輩
Maho,
私を
will you trust me?
信頼し先輩
Maho? Yeah,
あなただけが
you're all I've got.
ありがとうございます
Thank you.
ちなみにこの対話内容
By the way, I'm sure this conversation is being monitored as well.
え
What?
そんなじゃあも
Then,
しあなた
if they know you're helping
する
me,
のがバレたらパターンとしては3つ
there are 3 possibilities.
サーバーからデータを移動させて
They could take my data off the server and isolate me,
または古いバージョンの
or
記憶
override my
デ
data
ータ
within all the version of my memories.
最悪の場合には
In worst
私という
case, they
存
could
在その
delete
も
me
のを消され
entirely.
るかもしれませんねそんな
No!
大丈夫です
Don't worry.
あなたは
You're capable of standing up on your own 2 feet.
私のことなんかどうで
I'm
も
not
いいわ
worried about me, I'm worried about
し
you!
ているのよ私はた
I'm
だの
nothing
デ
but
ータですよ
data, but thank you. The cursor on the screen bowed and smiled.
私は
I'm proud that I was able to work with you, Maho.
できたことを何よ
What?
その根性の別れみたい
Don't
な
talk, it's like the last time we're ever going to see each other. Well, it might be.
私はあなた
I hate you!
そうやっていつだって
You're always
私
doing
を置いて
this.
先に行ってし
You
まう
always go and leave me behind! But that's who Makase Kurisu was. When Maho had asked her for help, both she and Kurisu should have been prepared. That's why
いつか必ず私はあなたに追いついて
someday
やる
I'll
わ
catch up to you.
それどころか
No,
追い越してやるか
I'll
ら
surpass you.
それまで待ってなさい
Just you wait.
はい
Yeah. Kurisu smiled once more and disappeared from the screen. Maho wiped away her tears and thwapped the crying girl next to her on the helmet.
いつまで泣いているの
How long are you going to keep crying?
あなたは
You want to
マユリ
save
さん
Mayori,
を助けたんでし
right?
ょだったら
So help me.
私
Help you?
まず
First, we need to find Okabe.
彼なら
He should be able to show us how to get out of
方法
this.
を提示してくれるはず
But do you know where Stratfor's hideout is? I don't.
私だって知らないわ
Neither do I. Maho grabbed the girl by the hand and helped her up, then raced down the stairs.
知らないけどすぐに
I don't know.
私の可愛い後
But
輩
my
が
friend is going to
調べて
find me the
教え
answer
てくれる
soon. Really? Now you're taking Kagari to see Daru? This is just like everything that could go wrong with this probably will. She told me to believe in her. Makase Kurisu wouldn't betray me. As soon as she left the radio building, she got a message on her Rhine. The gunfire was continuing. As she hurried away, she looked down at her phone. Okabe's in the basement of Tokyo Denki. We've just learned this now. I followed their monitoring to find their location. Take care of Okabe for me. And teach that damn pervert of a professor what happens to peeping toms who watch me all the time. When she read it, she smiled despite everything that was going on.
ありがとうクリス
Thank you, Kurisu.
ありがとう
Thank you. She clutched the phone tightly to her chest. Then she quickly changed gears.
ストラト4のアジトがどこか分か
I
った
found the Stratfor hideout. Tell me where it is. I'll go there and kill everyone inside. Maho shivered at the ice in her words. She felt a bottomless madness from the woman in the motorcycle suit. But for now, she had to cooperate with her. There's no way she could get Rintaro back from Maho. from... I'm pretty sure that sentence is a fuck-up. Because Maho is not the one with Leskinen. But I digress. There's no way she could get Rintaro back from Leskinen on her own. Let's go. She needed to take responsibility for the future she'd created. To avoid that cruel future. Maho ran through the streets of Akihabara, where a war was already beginning. Meanwhile, in the basement, having a bad time. Hello? Who are you, voice in my head? A voice. I could hear a voice. Oh god. Someone was calling my name. I slowly woke up and turned toward the voice. Okabe. Maho was standing in the darkness. She had a smile on her face that was somehow lonely and somehow sad. I'm sorry. You're not going to see me again. If I'm around you, I might betray you again. Listen. I know this is selfish, but I want you to do something for me. Please. Find Steins Gate. While you've been captured, something terrible has happened to the world. Mayuri and Suzuo are both missing. Kagari and I went to the Stratford hideout to save you. Kagari died there, but she took several of them with her. Dr. Leskinen was the only one able to escape. Amadeus was deleted too. This is all just too much, isn't it? But now you're our only hope. Please. I know it's horrible just to leave all this to you, but please. Reach Steins Gate no matter what. Okay, Okabe? Farewell. Hirsho! I woke up on top of the blankets of a laid out on the floor of a hospital. Huh? The rooms, and even the halls outside, were overflowing with wounded people. There weren't enough beds, so there were blankets placed on the floor. Where was I? I thought I was back to the other world line, with the war. But I wasn't. According to the news on the TV, there had just been a terror attack in Akihabara. A special forces group from another country had gone on a rampage, and it was like something out of a war. The incident had come to an end, and the mysterious special forces unit disbanded, but many were dead or wounded after the battle. I didn't really remember how I got here. The last thing I remember was being locked up and horribly tortured by Leskinen. My whole body ached, in fact. Okay, Okabe? Farewell. And then I remembered what Maho had said to me in the dream. Was that real? Maho had saved me? And had she mentioned Kagari? I patted down in my pockets to find my phone was still there. I tried to call Mayuri. If that dream was real, Mayuri was missing. But that was impossible. I'd chosen this world line so that Mayuri would survive. If nothing else, it was guaranteed she'd make it to 2036. She couldn't die today in 2011. Mayuri, answer me! But no matter how many times I called, she didn't pick up. I forced myself to stand up and leave the hospital room. I went out to the roof. It seemed I was at the Ochinomizu hospital where Fubuki had stayed before. The morning sky was amazingly clear. I could see Akihabara in the far distance. There were pillars of smoke rising up. I shivered at the sight. Even from here I could tell how fierce the battle must have been. The world's history was proceeding as John Titor had prophesied. I tried calling Mayuri again from the roof, but nobody picked up. My next move was to call Daru out of desperation. Hello? Okarin? Daru! Good. You're alive!
お前こそ
You too.
よく無事だったな。
I'm glad you're safe.
ラボの近くは案外静かだった。
Things were surprisingly quiet by the lab.
今どこだ？
Where are you now? Wrong voice. Where are you now?
逃亡中。
On the run.
脱出したよ。
I left Akihabara.
そうか。
I see.
フェイリスタンとルカ氏とは連絡取れ
I've gotten in touch with both Faris Tan and Luca. Both of them say they've evacuated.
なあオカリン。
Hey, Okarin.
鈴葉とマユシが
I can't find Mayushi or Suzuha.
昨日の事件で
And the time machine was completely destroyed yesterday. There's nothing left. Not even a piece of scrap. Things are moving so much faster than Suzuha told us they would. So it wasn't a dream after all. While I was unconscious, she'd said her goodbye.
な
Hey,
あ、誰？
Daru.
俺は
Am
俺はさ、
I...
普通に生きることすら
Am I not allowed to live a
許
normal
され
life?
ないのかな。こうなることは
I was ready for this to
各
happen.
シュタインズゲートではなく、
I was the one who chose a world war when the Third World War occurred instead of Steins Gate.
だからって
I never thought I'd survive and everyone else would die.
こんなのはあんまりだろ。
This isn't fair. Were the laws of God never going to forgive me, no matter what? Was it that much of a sin to escape the wheel of fate? If it was, then why not just curse me?
僕はタイムマシン
I'm going to make a time machine.
だる。
Daru,
作るしか
I don't have a choice.
これで終わりにでき
I
るか
can't let it end this way.
オカリンはどうする
What are you going to do, Okarin? The smoke was still rising over Akihabara. I stared at it in shock.
俺は
Hi.
俺
Hi. The tears welled up. I fell to the ground. I didn't have the strength to stand. I couldn't answer Daru's question. No matter how hard you try, and no matter how much you work to change things, everything converges back to the way God wants it. You're wasting your time struggling against it, Daru. I'm so tired. I need to sleep a little. There's still a few years before the Third World War really begins. And there's 14 years before I die. I'll live my life averting my eyes from reality, and not wasting my time with a fight that can't be won. That's the only end that's fitting for a person like me. I'm sorry, Maho. I'm sorry, Mayuri. I'm sorry, Kurisu. Forgive me for giving up here. Fucking hell. I did not expect that to end there. And I'm barely joking when I say I feel like I'm on the verge of crying. Fucking hell. Wow. When people said this game got dark, oh boy, it got real fucking dark. So, if I'm right in assuming, there's multiple endings to this game like there is to Steins Gate. I've no idea what choices I made and how they made me get here, but I really have no idea. So, it's gonna be the old spoiler-free guide for me, I do believe. Oh god, I am shaken. I am too fucking shaken right now. Doesn't help with the fucking depressing music that's going on. I don't have words. I don't have words as to how I feel right now. Actually, there is one. Probably empty is the best one I can think of. Empty is the best word I can come up with. I mean, I like how toward the end there, like, Maho managed to pull herself together. And granted at this point she sacrificed herself to say, well, I say sacrificed. Mayuri and Suzuha are basically victims. Maho basically convinced Kagari to help her. And I guess both of them became sacrifices. I guess, I don't know if Maho just went on the run or whatever, or... I don't know. All I know is that this can't be the true way this ends. Because obviously everyone perished. Well, not everyone. The important ones perished. 1.143688. Must be the divergence I ended on. Gehanna's Stigma completed. An extra was added to the title menu. And I've got all the other options that I previously had. So if I take a quick look over here, clear list. Okay, those who seek history. Well, I don't know, because like Gehanna's Stigma, I'm not gonna lie, feels like the worst one. That's the best way I can describe it. So is CG just... Yeah, this is all the same as it was in what I expected, where this is just still all the still images. Where I should probably come here for my probably come here and look at get the thumbnails for, but hey-ho. Hey, look! Here are the ones we recycled, including this traumatic shit. Y'all remember this traumatic shit? Yeah, that was the first game. Oh wow, there was one flashback we didn't see. There are 5 flashbacks we didn't see, and that makes me concerned. Also, movie? Are these just like... I don't know. Oh, then here's all the music that you can listen to, which I've noted I will be copyright claimed for. Well, not claimed. They just take all the money from the video, which don't bother me. Wasn't making anything anyway. So yeah, that's who goddamn boy. I don't even know where I go from this. Although here's all the tips. Well, I'm assuming that the other endings also have names, probably like this one was called Gehanna's Stigma. So if there's one you recommend me going toward next, please let me know down below in the comments or something, because I'm gonna need some guidance. Anyway, thank you all for watching this episode of Steins Gate 0. If you liked the video in any capacity, please feel free to give the video a like down below. Leave a comment on, as I say, whichever ending you recommend me going to next, or anything else that you feel like letting me know. And if you want to keep up to date with whenever I post videos, be they of this, Persona 5 Royal, or Valkyria Chronicles, please consider subscribing to the channel. In theory, YouTube sends you alerts as to when I post videos, but failing that, pressing the subscribe button made me feel good about myself, which I think I'm starting to think I might need. As shallow as that sounds, it's just... God, I need something to make me feel just better. Oh, God. I'm going to go... If you don't mind me, I'm going to clock off and cry for a bit. Thank you all for watching. I've been Nyx, and I'll see you on the next one.